Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, questions still remain this morning on why a sheriff's deputy allegedly shot and killed his fellow comrade while they were on the job together. We have the latest on the investigation. Some new jobs are heading to the Sun City, what the pay for these jobs could be, and why it could lead to more nonstop flights at El Paso International. Also,
however, something went wrong and we will find out what that is.
An unmanned NASA rocket explodes seconds after launch. Officials now trying to find out what went wrong. The amazing video you have to see.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC7's Good Morning El Paso.
It is 6 o'clock. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Hillary Floren. Bob Harp has the day off. Let's get right to meteorologist Crystal Clyde. Before those headlines, you start us off with the good news on the right side of bed this morning.
That is right. Yesterday's forecast, today's forecast, they look like twins. So we are still talking temperatures that are in the 70s instead of 80s in the afternoon. Still a cool start to your morning. We're at 53 in El Paso, mostly clear, and winds out of the north and northeast at 7 miles per hour. Las Cruces, you're now down to 47 degrees, winds just 3 miles per hour, but we do have some moisture that'll be returning to the forecast in the days to come. Today, dry and sunny. Tomorrow, the same. By Friday or Halloween, as we start to see things switch up a bit, we're going to talk about those changes coming up in your forecast about 10 minutes from now. Hillary?
Thanks so much, Crystal. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office continues to deal with the shocking news that one of their own was killed by a fellow deputy he was working with. Warrant Officer Ty Chan is behind bars in Las Cruces after police say he fired several shots at 29-year-old Deputy Jeremy Martin. Martin was found near an elevator at the hotel in Canto with gunshot wounds to his back. He was rushed to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas picks up the story right now. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning, Hillary. Chan and Martin were on a work-related trip when they stopped in Las Cruces for the night at Hotel Encanto. The two men went to a nearby pub where police say they got into an argument that later escalated back at the hotel. And so much right now to process for the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department this morning, as both deputies were described as hardworking. The Albuquerque Journal reports that Deputy Ty Chan was recently commended by the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office for returning a stolen safe to a family who was burglarized. According to his Facebook page, Chan attended New Mexico State University for a while. And in a phone interview, Jeremy Martin's wife said that her husband was well-grounded and a self-sacrificing kind of person. Martin leaves behind 3 children, ages 4, 9, and 11. The Santa Fe County Sheriff Robert Garcia says that the entire department is shocked. He says deputies who had a day off yesterday were all called in and told the devastating news.
Some are able to express their feelings immediately, others don't. Some will hold them, but we're here for each other as we grieve through this process.
And our coverage continues online at KVIA.com. In our links mentioned section, you can find the 911 calls that were made moments after Deputy Martin was killed. Hillary, back to you.
Thanks so much, Denise. A family is mourning the loss of a 63-year-old man who died in a motorcycle wreck downtown. We first brought you this story as breaking news yesterday morning. Police say Kenneth Bass was speeding on Paisano around 4 a.m. yesterday when he just lost control on a curve near Overland. Investigators gathering evidence shut down Paisano for hours, impacting that commute. Bass was taken to UMC where he later died. Police say he was wearing a helmet at the time. This is the second motorcyclist killed in 6 weeks in that same area. We are also learning more right now about the woman who was killed after being hit by a car Monday night. Police identify her as 65-year-old Guadalupe Beret. Police say she was crossing a dark stretch of George Dieter just south of Montwood. Investigators say she was not using a crosswalk when she was hit. She was taken to Del Sol where she later died. The driver of the car does not face charges. El Paso Electric angered residents last year when it installed those huge utility poles at a local park. This is at Esmeralda Park, off of Artcraft in the Upper Valley. Well, residents in that area called the poles an eyesore. They were very vocal. Now El Paso Electric says it wants to improve that park. Yesterday, utility officials donated $170,000 to City Council. This is for upgrades, including playground equipment, trees, even a gazebo. Residents we spoke with say the poles are still an eyesore, but are glad EP Electric is improving the park. The changes could be in place by this time next year. Job seekers, listen up. Dozens of new jobs are heading to the Sun City. City Council approved an agreement to bring an aircraft maintenance facility to the El Paso airport. Phoenix-based Mesa Airlines will create 40 new jobs, including positions for mechanics, inspectors, and support staff. These positions will pay about $35,000 every year. The 3-year lease agreement has Mesa Airlines investing more than $600,000 in improvements.
We're certainly hoping that Mesa Airlines, in conjunction with American Airlines, will build upon this maintenance facility. Our goal is to work with American Airlines and have them construct a permanent facility, and that they will grow their maintenance activities from there.
In return, Mesa Airlines will get several months of rent abatement and the possibility of operating bigger facilities in the future. Airport officials say this would attract even more nonstop flights to El Paso. Happening right now, investigators are on the scene of last night's rocket launch in Virginia. Have you heard about this? It ended in an explosion a minute after takeoff. The unmanned rocket was heading for the International Space Station with supplies. Here's ABC's Timon Bradley with the latest developing right now.
3, 2, 1.
It was supposed to be a routine launch.
We have liftoff.
An unmanned rocket blasting off from this NASA base in Virginia, carrying supplies to the International Space Station. But just seconds after liftoff, a catastrophic explosion. The rocket erupts into an enormous fireball, a terrifying scene for families who gathered to watch.
Oh God! Oh God!
This would have been the first nighttime launch of an Antares rocket. NASA saying the flight would have been visible to millions along the East Coast. Instead, this is what people saw and felt for miles. NASA says no one in the area was injured.
We've confirmed that all personnel have been accounted for.
The rocket was carrying about 5,000 pounds of cargo to the space station, the third of 8 resupply missions under a contract with Orbital Sciences Corporation. An executive at the private firm said things began to go wrong almost from the start, and that staff likely sent a destruct signal to the rocket.
It began to go wrong around 10 to 12 seconds. I do know that range safety initiated the flight termination system around 20 seconds, maybe a little bit before.
Shortly after the explosion, crews moved in to secure the site and began investigating what went wrong.
The Cygnus spacecraft does have classified crypto equipment on the spacecraft, so we do need to maintain the area around the debris in a secure manner.
The Antares keeps the space station stocked with food, supplies, and scientific experiments. All prior missions have been successful. Timon Bradley, ABC News, Washington.
It is 6:08. Traffic is looking good this morning. I-10, US 54, everywhere throughout the borderland that we have looked on our TxDOT traffic cams, nice and clear. The San Elizario School District needs voters to approve millions of dollars in bonds to help fund school renovations. But get this, the district had a meeting to inform taxpayers about it, and not one person showed up. Also,
the Democrats are, as we've talked about before, going to have a bad election. You know, no matter how you slice it.
midterm elections are just 1 week away, and things are not shaking out too well for Democrats. A look at why candidates are distancing themselves now from the president. And one person we're not distancing ourselves from, meteorologist Crystal Cly. Of course not. She has a great forecast. We want to hear her keep around.
Yeah, you only distance when I have the bad forecast, right? I understand.
Exactly.
I understand. Let's talk about current temperatures this morning, how much will warm later today, and bigger changes hitting for your weekend. All that information is up after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.
You're watching ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso with Hillary Floren, Bob Hart, Storm Track weather meteorologist Crystal Cly, and live reports from Denise Olivas.